I mean, the Truman Show was another moment where, you know, I had to kind of deal with, well, you're not allowed to do that. You know, you've presented yourself one way, and you know, it's a tough thing to convince people that there's something more, or that they might want to see something different. But I've always believed, all the way along, I've believed that it was about a spark.
Right.
It was about who you are as a person. It's about your soul.
Yeah.
It's about not necessarily. I mean, you do what you do so well, but there is something about you that is attractive to people in a way that they want to sit and watch you for an hour and listen to you and listen to your insights. But it's about you and who you are. What is it worth? What is it worth? And that's what I've come to so many times in my career, in my life, is that I've said the safe road is going to pay off. There are many payoffs to it, but I can't be there and have my soul be on a completely different track. I just, it's always worth losing to me.
It is.
It's always worth risking. And if this other side of me is not a popular one in the scheme of things as far as movie tickets go, then you know what? I'll find a way to sneak it in there. I'll make a plan. I will show myself. You know, I will find a way, and even if I'm not as popular, I will live in that area. I will expand myself. I mean, I started out with many desires as far as this business goes, and I've so surpassed all of them that it's not as meaningful to me anymore. I really love the work itself. I've examined myself on several occasions. Why am I really doing this? Am I doing this because I want to be famous? And I think there was an element to that when I started out.
Sure.
I wanted to be a rainmaker. Yeah. We should talk about that a little further.
Well, what does that mean?
That means I think I wasn't necessarily seen as much or as intently as I wanted to be when I was a kid. I had a job, at least in my own mind, and that was to make my mother feel better. She was kind of very ill in many ways, and so it was to make her feel better. And I think ultimately, I imitated my father. He was a very funny guy, but also I felt some need, and maybe I don't know whether they created it or I created it, but I felt a need to make them feel that their life was worthwhile, that they did something special just by the very fact that they brought me into the world. Yeah. So from a very young age, I wanted to convince them that I was a miracle. And then I wanted to convince the world that I was a miracle. and now I want to convince the world that I'm just like them.
So you went from convincing first you're a miracle and then that you are just like them.
Yes.
And how does that play out today in terms of convincing the world you are just like them, that you are?
Well, what I'm finding is an interesting thing, because I have a lot of people asking me, well, are you afraid that people won't accept you? And I know that in my life, and at least in my, you know, the circle of people I know and know my friends that know my work, it seems like, and even people I talk to, like you, it seems like people are almost waiting for it, that they've suspected that there's another level to me, and they're kind of intrigued and interested in what that might be. It's that, and it's an addiction. Honestly, I mean, I'd love
an addiction to just knowing yourself.
Yeah, an addiction to trying to figure out, and maybe this is an impossible task, but you know, everybody's looking for bliss, you know, in some way or another. And I think I've come to the realization lately that that bliss comes in waves, and everybody gets a certain amount of it.
Yeah.
But in between, it's just hard work being in this body. You know?
And that it is the unwise person to expect bliss will be there all the time.
Absolutely, you know? Absolutely. But you look for it. You look for it, and you wonder why you're off the beam all the time, or whatever. So I'm constantly examining myself. I probably do it too much. I've always overthought everything.
I mean, you're reading Emerson, and you read.
Yeah,
you know,
right. Which is like the big thing for me, you know, in life right now is the excerpt from Compensation, the essay he did on compensation, where it talks about that man would see the mermaid's head but not the dragon's tail. Yeah. And this is something that happens over and over and over in my life, in relationships, and in choices that I make professionally. You know, a lot of times you just don't want to believe in the bad. But the bad is there. You know, the negativity